So you want to be a pro golfer, huh? Let me break down what that would cost you over the course of 1 year. Speaking from experience, I've played professionally for about 8 years at the mini tour level. I don't know what it costs at the PGA Tour level. This is just for mini tours. I made a previous video breaking down the cost of one pro golf tournament and quoting it at $2,500. It can vary, obviously, depending on how far you have to travel to get there. Rough estimate is going to be a figure of 2x the entry fee. Most entry fees are $1,200, $1,300, so that's where we get to that $2,500 number. If you played 40 events a year, 40 weeks per year, that'd be 75% of the weeks, so playing 3 out of 4 weeks each month, one off week. I would say that's a good formula if you're trying to actually be competitive and stay sharp and be prepared for Q School and things like that. You do want to compete a lot, and that's going to run you immediately up to $100,000 right there. Practice and country club membership costs. You can, either buy a couple large buckets a day and hit balls at your public course and pay for greens fees to get out and play, or you can join a country club. Most of them have junior memberships for guys under the age of 39 or 40, somewhere in the ballpark of 500 to 800 per month, and then sometimes there's dues on top of that. But on average, if you could spend $750 a month times 12 months and have $9,000 or $10,000 a year of practice expenses, I would say you're doing pretty good. It could cost a lot more than that. Truthfully, these numbers are low side estimate. It can get a lot higher. Coaching lessons. Let's say your coach costs $250 an hour and you take 2 lessons per month. That would be $500 a month times 12. 6,000. My swing coach, for example, used to cost $600 to $800 an hour. You could find one for $50 an hour too, but you get what you pay for. $250 a month per lesson, I think, is actually a really low side estimate. So $6K on coaching, equipment and fitting. I spent last year about $2,500 on fitting and new irons, and then I got a driver that cost $750, and those were both driver and shaft combo. Those were both discounted because I was personal friends with the guy that built them and sold them to me. So it can cost even more than that if you don't have any connections with club companies or fitters. Guys buy new wedges sometimes once or twice per year because the grooves wear out. You've obviously got to get golf balls and gloves all the time. Sometimes guys switch putters a couple times per year. It's not going to cost you 5K necessarily every single year, but it can, and it can cost more than that. So equipment, rough estimate, 5K. Q Schools, the only tournaments each year that really matter. Mini tour stuff is kind of just for practice and trying to stay sharp. The Q Schools are where we actually have a chance to advance our career to the Korn Ferry Tour and to the PGA Tour, or if you're going the European route, DP World Tour. It costs about $4,000 to $5,000 per stage of Q School, depending on which one you're playing and whether it's domestic or international. But I did make a previous video breaking down the cost of PGA Tour America's Q School, which is the most recent one I played in. I played 5 total Q Schools. This one was most recently May of 2024. It cost me $4,600. And I just spoke with a friend yesterday who's played Korn Ferry Q School all the way through second stage multiple times. So there's 4 total stages, and second actually is third. It goes pre-qual, first, second, finals. He's been through second, missed out by 1 stroke getting into finals last year, I want to say. And he told me that costs about 15 grand to get. It would cost 15 grand to go through 3 stages or 11 grand to go through 2. So let's just say guys played on average 2 stages of Q School, whether that was 2 in Korn Ferry or they tried PGA Tour Americas and Sunshine Tour, a couple others that have 1 stage Q Schools. Either way, that's going to get you close to $10,000 expenses. Then the rest of the stuff you could argue is optional, like having a trainer and signing up at a gym or doing yoga, having a soft tissue therapist or a physical therapist to work on overall injuries on your body, soft tissue work, fascia, stuff like that. A short game coach or a putting coach, a mental coach, playing in skins games on your off weeks to stay sharp. I figured most of these things at $200 a month. I think I did a mental coach at $300 a month. Those added in another, what's that? Somewhere around $13,000, $14,000. So you could eliminate all those and maybe do this for $130,000. Some would argue. I would argue that if you're already spending 6 figures to try to give yourself a chance to compete with the best and advance to a world ranked tour, you're probably not going to want to cut corners and save an extra 20 grand to bootstrap it and do it on a budget. You're going to want every advantage you can get because the guys out there are savages and you can't afford to even spot them a half stroke here and there. Let's say that a mental coach gets you a half stroke per round advantage over the course of a 4-day tournament. That's 2 strokes, and many times that's the difference between going home with $0 or coming home with a check that at least allows you to maybe break even. So every single fraction of a stroke really matters at this level. Everyone's good. Um, you got to find ways to squeak out an extra 0.2 strokes here and 0.4 strokes there per round. So I would recommend doing as many of these as you can afford. I will break down in a future video what I encourage as the best side career in order to subsidize the costs. And keep in mind, we're playing to win money, right? All of these expenses are going towards giving us an opportunity to actually earn checks. Most first place checks are somewhere in the ballpark. I mean, it's a wide range, but somewhere between 7,000 and 20,000 would be like an average first place check for these type of expenses. There are a few exceptions. The largest mini tour first place check I've ever heard of is 100 grand in the Colorado Open. Second largest would be 50 grand in the Waterloo Open in Iowa, but that's extremely rare. Typically, it's rare to see anything higher than 25, 30K. More commonly would be 15 grand first place check. So how many times would you have to win in a year to get to a $143,000 break even number? And keep in mind, you're taxed on your winnings. So it may say $10,000 first place check. You take home maybe 7,000, depending on your tax bracket and how much you earned for the year and what state the tournament was in. You would have to win in excess of probably a dozen times in a year to maybe break even. I don't know too many guys that have ever done that in the history of mini tour golf. So it's a losing financial battle no matter who you are. I don't care how many 65s you shoot. Almost everyone loses money if they play this much. Yeah, sometimes guys only play a handful of tournaments and they happen to win a couple of them, so they're able to take a net positive on the year. But if you're trying to play year-round mini tour pro golf and you're not playing on a larger world tour like Korn Ferry or above, where the purses are bigger and first place checks are 50K and above, then you're losing money and you have to have sponsors or a large bank account to subsidize that. And so you're really not playing at this level hoping to earn a living. You're just playing hoping to God that you get off one of these mini tour, lower tour things and get status on Korn Ferry, but really even above. PGA Tour, DP World Tour, those are about the only 2 places that you're able to consistently make a living at. So it's very tough. It is very tough. I hope that this video showed you guys a little bit more inside the ropes information on what you can expect if you're considering turning pro. And maybe if you're not ready to combat these type of costs, stay amateur for a while, because the tournaments are a lot less and there's still some high level tournaments you can play in until you're able to figure out how you may take a stab at funding something like this. That would be advice to my younger self. I think I jumped the gun and started incurring costs like this way before my game was ready, and put myself in a lot of debt. So hopefully you guys can avoid some of the similar mistakes that I've made through this video and other videos like this in the series. If you liked it, please drop a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts, questions, concerns, or future video ideas. And then subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any future videos in this series. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.